And welcome to Stunthangar Video Hangouts. My name is Charles Carter, and I'll be your host this evening. I want to extend to you my gratitude for you watching Stunthangar Video Hangouts. If you're watching this as a replay, I want you to know that I host these YouTube live streams every Monday and Friday evening starting at 6:45 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So please make a note of this so you can watch and be part of the live stream. Plus, we have an after party following the live stream, which is sometimes better than the live stream portion. You must be a registered Stunthangar Forum member to find the link to be part of the live stream and the following after party. Here at Stunthangar Video Hangouts, we talk about building and flying model airplanes, sport flying, competition flying, and what you've been doing lately. To join our conversation, if you are already a member of Stunthangar Forum, you can find the link if you scroll down to the section called At the Bench, which is right below in memory of our friends. Now, if you're not a member or if you're not logged into Stunthangar Forum, the At the Bench link will not appear. If you're not a member, please register at stunthangar.com/SMF. That's stunthangar.com/SMF. That's Smart Men Flying. That's courtesy of Jeff Riley. You must place a space between your real first and last name when you register. You must also use a valid email address, or Sparky, the proprietor of Stunthangar, will not approve you. Now, if you're inclined to not come in and you enjoy watching us on YouTube, wonderful, fantastic. You can enter your questions or comments in the chat box right over here. I'll do my best to make your comments and questions a part of the show. And understand, sometimes I can't get a word in myself, so be patient, and I will ask our illustrious panel your question or state your comments. And by the way, you only can do this during a live stream. It goes away on the replays, excuse me. Like I said earlier, I host these YouTube live streams every Monday and Friday evening starting at 6:45 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. If you find the Stunthangar Video Hangouts that I host, or the many building videos, contest coverage that Sparky does on this platform informative and enjoyable, please hit the thumbs up. That's the like. Hit the like button. Thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up. Subscribe, share the videos, comments on the videos also help the Stunthangar YouTube channel grow. Please consider joining Stunthangar's YouTube channel memberships, which start at just $4.99 a month, which is less than 17 cents a day. And by the way, I'm a member myself. I have it come out of my own checking account each and every month. I'm going on for over 4 years. I've been doing it. And I did this before I was the host. So it's not like I'm just doing it because I'm the host. I did it before I was the host. I think Rusty was the host at that point when I joined up. So I'm doing it. So I'm just asking you to partner up with me and others to support this channel. Now, if you can't or you don't want to do the monthly subscription, go over here to the chat box. Right below there, there's a big $sign. That's called the Super Chat. Click on that and it'll direct you to make a donation there. Or if you're watching this as a replay, not the original live stream, but the replay, then the Super Chat is not available. But if you hit the 3 dots underneath the video screen, another submenu will pick up and then select Super Thanks. And that'll direct you to how you can make your donations that way. So please support and donate. We need your help. We need your support. Now, if you want to get in touch with me because you might have a question or comment or toward me, the best way to do that would be to go to my YouTube channel, which is called Flying Control Line Stunt. Let me repeat that. Flying Control Line Stunt. That's my YouTube handle. Go there, and if you would, check out the 2019 AMA National Championship video, which Sparky shot with his video camera of me flying his beautiful and light Junar XL. It was orange back then. Now I believe it's white with orange trim, and that's one of his best flying planes. And he talks about refinishing that one, put a 3rd finish on it. So check it out. And if you have a comment or question, see, I'll be notified on my phone, as opposed to this is Sparky's channel. I won't be notified. So that's the best way to reach me. I want to thank you for your past, your present, and future support. You are making it happen. I see we have some people in the gallery already. Fantastic. Let me make my way over to what I call the control panel, and just give me a moment here to do that. And we will be cooking with gas. Just give me a second here. Let me see here. Go to the YouTube studio. Here we go. All right. How's everybody doing?
Good.
Pretty
All
good.
right. Good. Good. Just give me a moment here. A few more clicks still to go. And let's see. So it looks like we are streaming. That's good. You guys are there with me. And we have 12 concurrent viewers, 5 likes. So those of you who have not hit the like button, please do that. Or if you don't like it, do the dislike. Either way, it shows engagement. But if you don't like the show, let me know why. I know some people don't like the time that I come on live, but besides that, what else is there? If you have any suggestions of what we can talk about or what you'd be interested in hearing, please let me know. Let Sparky know. And I see Daniel Berry Sports Highlights. He says, evening. And then Roy Lane, who was the first member of our YouTube channel, he's in the chat box. I mean, he says, good evening on a very hot Monday down south. Yeah, that's happened here. And then Gary Sinclair, who's here in the gallery, he's a member of our YouTube channel. He has the moniker next to his name. He also has the blue wrench. He's a monitor. He says, hi, everyone, like provided. And then that T-Bone 1260, a.k.a. Tom Luciano. How you doing, Tom? And he says, sub homies, like provided. Thank you very much. And then Jeffrey Riley, he says, good evening, Charles and crew. Like clicked. Just wanted to say nice work on the tanks. How did the last one work out? Worked out really good. I'm using it right now. If I get a chance, I'll bring people abreast of my progress with these fuel tanks I've been making. I showed Jeff I have like 5 more in the works. I made one with Jeff Riley's help, by the way. And Marcel Legrand says, hi, Charles and everyone at Stunt School, just building a new twin. All right. Fantastic. And here we go. I didn't see the order that you guys came in, so I'm just going to just haphazardly pick you guys. Let me start with Bill Irwin. Hey, Bill, how you doing?
Hey, Charles. I'm doing well. How about yourself?
Doing good. Doing good. It's kind of warm out here, too. I know everyone's going to say the same thing. I guess we're just into that season. It's getting hot. And it's getting warm out here, too. About 90 degrees. And it's hot, but it's dry. It's not humid. So I feel very fortunate and blessed in that regard. And looking to build a new tank. I started 5 new ones. So I have some more planes I came into, and they need some fuel tanks. So I'm making fuel tanks for them. Okay. And they're kind of off. It's an odd size because it's a profile, but the profile fuselage makes it for an upright engine. So the engine's upright. So the profile of the fuselage is actually laying on its side.
Okay.
A little bit different. So you've been unpacking still? You've been locating some of your model aviation stuff?
Well, yes, in theory, I'm doing that, but in actuality, I went on a weekend vacation with my girlfriend. I just got back today.
All right. Now, does your girlfriend live there in is it Wisconsin you moved to, or was it Minnesota?
Well, that's where we went on vacation. My girlfriend lives in my hometown, about an hour north of the Twin Cities, in this town called Champlin. And then I live in central Minnesota in Clear Lake, which is about a half hour south of St. Cloud, Minnesota. So we get together on Fridays, and then we go camping occasionally. And so that's, yeah. I told her we're going to have to make some plans to go to some contest also. She's got a little tiny camper trailer that would be just perfect for me and her and my dogs, and that might be a future plan to go to a local contest, a nearby contest, you know. So, but then, yeah, that's what.
Does she fly? Does she know how to fly a control line?
Does she? No, but she says she's game, so I may end up building something simple for her. She's been out to the field and she's watched us fly, and she lets me break in motors at her place. So,
Nice. Wow.
so, so that's how you can tell we haven't been together that long, as she's condoning the hobby pretty well.
That's great. That's,
So we'll see how it works out.
I hope it works out well.
Yeah,
I
yeah, me
remember,
too.
I remember I read a story about Bob Gieske. I guess his wife had passed away before he transitioned, and he was dating a lady, and this is what I read. So this wasn't something that was told. And I guess he had went out flying, and then he explained to her that he was going to go flying again this weekend. And she's like, "Well, didn't you just go flying just last weekend?" And that was kind of like a shadowing that this is not going to work.
Yeah, exactly. So I know exactly what you mean. So,
Okay. So let me see here. I think I have the next Gary Sinclair. Hey, Gary, how you doing?
Oh, not too bad.
Good,
Yeah,
good, good. What you been up to? Anything
yeah,
model related?
yeah, not too much. Got a wife in the hospital, checking her out, and she got
Yeah, I know that's
so
pretty much your job.
yeah,
Is
yes,
going
but
to
I
the
got it.
hospital every day. Well, I appreciate you
Yeah,
coming
but
in.
anyway,
I know
mhm.
that you're already tasked at doing that, and you come here and sit with us and learn with us. I appreciate it.
Yeah, and watch Sparky, watch his
Yeah,
project.
yeah. I think I saw a video 14 or 15.
Yeah,
I, man, it's a lot of videos on the fly trick. It's surprising.
yeah.
And then
He
we have.
getting
Go ahead.
he's getting a lot of coverage on that too. It looks like new
Oh,
people.
good.
Look,
I've been so busy. I have not. I've just seen the thumbnails. I have not. The only thing I've seen the fly streak was when he showed it here on the Hangout last Friday. Um, so I don't know what's going on at all with that,
yeah,
but
yeah,
hopefully I'll make some time to do that. Usually when I'm
yeah,
working on something, I'll play it in the background.
yeah.
But
He'll be on in a little bit.
okay, good, good. And Stephen Smith, we actually had a little short conversation. When was that? Saturday?
Yeah, yeah. Yesterday or day before.
Yeah. Thank you for your help. I appreciate it.
Well, did you get things straightened out?
Not totally yet, but I am making progress. Making progress.
Okay, good. Well, I hope you are housed sufficiently during the Nats and the Worlds.
Right. Like I said, I already have one reservation. It was kind of a bait and switch. I thought I was staying at the Baymount. I have to see it.
And they switched you to the Super 8.
Super 8, which you and I stayed at uh,
Yep.
several years ago.
It's fine.
Yeah, it would be easier if there's like two other guys that I'm going to be who are traveling from San Diego, and it'd be easier if it's all the same location.
Yeah, I get it, but
Go
they're
eat or
only a block or two apart. They're all clustered together there on McGalliard.
oh, okay. Well, I guess yeah. I
Yeah,
guess
it's not far.
all right. Well, thank you. Appreciate that. So you've been making progress on your build and been flying.
No, I've been not making any progress on the build. Between Brodax and other things, I haven't been to Sparky's in a couple of weeks, but we're planning on Thursday for more sanding. But I have gotten some flights in on the Spectre Mini V. In fact, we went out flying today. Me and Sparky was out there for a bit. Dan McEntee and Mark Hughes. So, and looks like Sparky's coming in.
Yeah, he's making his way in here. Yeah,
So, yeah, I I build to fly, and Sparky flies to build, I think. But he's got to work out some engine issues, but he has promised me that he will be practicing the entire month of July.
oh, great.
So I'm looking forward to that. I hope he can settle on something and stick with it and start practicing. I don't know. I keep seeing Bob Hunt like popping in and popping
Yeah,
out.
same here. I don't know. He might just he might be here, but he might have his camera off. This
Yeah,
new
he might
platform,
have some kind of problem.
I don't know. This platform now works differently. When you turn off your camera, everything
Yeah.
disappears. You don't see any evidence of you being there. So it's interesting.
Up,
Is he
there
getting
he is. He's back again.
back again? I'll get
Hi,
to you.
Bob.
Oh, we can't hear you, Bob. But you're not muted.
Can
No,
you hear
he's
me?
not muted, but
I heard
Um,
you now. I hear you
yeah,
now. Yeah, I hear you. Yeah.
got me. All right.
there we go.
All
Hey,
right.
Bob Whitley, how you doing?
Oh, doing okay.
Are you
Although I
coming to
don't
the
know if it's my
Nats?
turn to speak yet. We had a few ahead of me, I think, didn't we?
Oh,
Yeah, I'll
I'm
get to you,
sorry. I
Bob.
jumped the gun, but I was going to ask you if you are coming to the Nats
No, no, not
or
going
the
to happen.
Worlds.
No, just not in the budget or the time frame.
I'm sorry to hear that.
It's a
Yeah,
long distance for me.
I've been saving up for over a year so I can do both.
Very good. Very good. So what have you been working on, Steve, as far as you're flying your Spectre? What are your, when you go out, obviously, at least I do, I usually have goals when I'm trying to do. What are you working on as far as flying?
I am working on outside loops because I tend to make them tighter and they don't get the bottoms down. And the same for the outside side of the horizontal eights, and definitely the overhead eights. That seems to be my worst maneuver. I get the lowest scores on overhead eights, and actually, I still don't understand why.
Because they're out in front of you.
Yeah,
Right.
that's what Bob says. I'm out in front of me, but I don't know. Maybe my neck just doesn't bend that far. I can't I can't get that out behind me enough, I guess. So what you doing, Sparky?
I just got done working on the Aegis. I don't know whether it's my turn or not, so
Let me,
Oh, I'm
let me,
sorry. I'll turn it back to Charles and let him do that.
thank you. Let me see it. So next I have Stephen Smith. I got that already done.
Yeah.
Brendan and Angstrom. What's happening with you guys?
All right, I'm gonna step away for a minute.
Alrighty.
Hey everybody, we're doing double duty here. We got the SV11 out. We're super close to monocoating the wings, and then Angstrom's on the back table back there. He's waving. He's got a carrier plane that he's painting up. We had to do some patchwork on it. So, and then I think a couple days ago, all four of us. We did get all four of us in the air the other day.
Wow, that's fantastic.
Yeah, so we did have an electrical issue that sidelined the ladies after a couple of flights. So burned up an ESC on a takeoff that nosed over. For all the other things that could happen to take out an ESC, it just so happened that it nosed over and it burned it up. I guess I got to it really quick, but I guess that it was just that time for that one to go.
Electricity goes really fast. It's amazing how fast electronics is. You can't beat that. You just can't beat it. Unlike glow, you can have some time, but electronics is
Yeah.
The problem with electronics is it's awful hard to get the smoke back in.
right. Exactly, Bob.
But yeah, we're just gearing up for the Nats, trying to get everything together for that. We've got an ambitious goal. The 4th of July, the weekend after that, we're going to Virginia Beach for a week, but we're hoping we get the SV11 done by then, so that on the backside of that vacation we have 3 weeks or so to try to trim it out for Nats. It's ambitious, but we'll see where it goes.
It's a good wing, so I think you'll like it.
Yeah.
That's going to be electronic, right? The SV11.
Yep, electronic. Yeah, still feels like I got quite a ways to go with it. So we're trying though.
All right. Well, thank you.
Hey, actually, one question I guess that would take some troubleshooting. We've got these rugged stunt trainer planes. They're basically a foam combat wing that Phil Cartier made. And so with getting the ladies up and flying here, we're relying on those. But one of them has a down outboard wing on level flight, but it does not have any tip weight on it. So do I need a trim tab on the inside to try to level that out, or what am I dealing with there?
You're probably dealing with vertical center of gravity issue. How far off the wing center line is the motor and battery or fuel tank or engine?
I'm sorry, what's that?
How far off the wing center line is the motor center line or the engine center line?
Yeah. Are you talking about like how much turnout does it have?
No, from the center line of the wing, from a side view. How far offset is the center line of the engine or the motor? I don't know
I do not know how far up or down, but I know that I do take a look at that to make sure. I was always told that the stab, the wing, and the motor should all be on the same thrust line, like plane, or not the same plane, but like all parallel to each other.
Well, yeah, that's for alignment, but for vertical center of gravity, it's a whole different issue. Your airplane is flying around in a circle, so it has centrifugal force, right?
Right.
And it's tethered by the control lines, right?
Yep.
All right. So if you have a vertical center of gravity that's too high or too low, let's say in this case it may be too high. All right. Now that weight is going to want to go, when centrifugal force is going to want to force that weight outward, right?
Uh-huh.
If the airplane is tethered by the lines, all it can do is push that wing down. It's like a pendulum. Okay. If it's too low, center of gravity, it pushes that upward wing up. So you got to check your vertical center of gravity.
Okay, so that's hanging it from the ceiling about the lead outs and check.
Well, that's a way to do it statically, but it's not. It doesn't always work out that way dynamically or in flight. You may have to adjust on it. That's one of the beauties I found personally about electric flight, is that I can move the battery up or down incrementally and get the vertical center of gravity right, and take all the trim out of the airplane. Because for years I've been trimming for vertical center of gravity, thinking I had a warp in the wing or twist in the wing, and it wasn't. It was just the vertical center of gravity was off.
Okay.
Brandon, if I make a suggestion on those RSTs, I built 8 of them.
Okay.
And I had one of them where you know how the lead out guide is that plywood that is glued into the foam near the tip? It ripped right out of the foam and caused a crash. Yeah. So I've cut all my tips off on the ones I'm flying, although I got one totaled the other week. But anyway, and replaced them with solid balls and tips with the guide in that.
Okay.
And that I really caution you about, because it will bite you in the butt.
Yeah, we ended up getting a bunch of the foam wings, just the wings, and we had a couple of rugged stunt trainers where we modeled the rest of the plane off his original design. And then one thing that we use for those lead outs is I don't know, it's kind of like those vinyl flooring samples from Lowe's, like the kind of hard rubbery feeling pieces that maybe are about whatever 3/16 quarter inch or something. We usually take those, drill a bunch of holes in them, and put them as our lead out guides in the outside. I think Lon Key put me onto that tip once, and we use those.
The other thing is 2 of mine have gone in identical circumstances, one by me and one by Paul. And so I actually got to watch it from outside the circle. And mine, these 2 particular ones were fairly heavy and fast. They've got LA 40s on them. But it looked like it suffered a high-speed stall the top of a loop, or just about at the top of a loop, and then it came in and vertical crashed, and the rugged part wasn't exactly true.
Yeah.
So Paul felt bad about it, but I told him what I think happened, and we talked it over, and it said I did the exact same thing 2 years earlier with another one, and so I'm not really overly happy with those RSTs. I think for stunt training, the airfoil is just too darn thin.
Yeah, I will share this one though, if people can see it. This was Angstrom's original rugged stunt trainer. It was gifted by Sam and Mike Lonke to us. You can see here where we. This was my first go with epoxy. I had some gray-based garbage that was, thick and heavy, but the whole wing ripped off on a fence post. We got too close to the orchard and ripped it off, but we had an amazing flight because it kept flying with just one wing on, and the nose is broken off probably 10 times, and yet this thing keeps going. And I don't know. We can't say enough about this one. We got a couple of others that aren't quite so flight friendly anymore because they've been torn to bits. But
on a nose in on the one of them that was built stock, it split, and Mike said he suffered the same thing. They split at the trailing edge and your wings sweep forward when you thump them in. So the last couple I built, I fiberglassed over the center section and made a good wrap on the trailing edge. And when it went in, the fuselage just disintegrated, and the wing broke off and outboard, but the center section was perfectly intact.
Yeah, on our side, the great part about the training element for us was brand new to the sport, had no clue what I was doing. And yes, I burned up that initial repair job trying to put CA on foam and learned really quickly that no, that does not work.
Yeah.
But other than that, if I'm left with a bag of balsa, I wouldn't have known what to do with it. And so just being able to have these foam wings, yes, they may, snap off on impact or whatnot, but white Gorilla Glue was an easy fix and definitely made it easy for someone just coming into the hobby.
For your info, there is CA made for foam. I have some. But on the trailing edges too, after the first couple, they were just not staying straight or coming out of the jig blocks as well as I'd like. So I cut into them and I put quarter by quarter solid spruce on the trailing edge, because there really is nothing there for strength.
Right. Yeah, it's just thin foam. Yep.
I have a suggestion, Brendan, just in case we are talking about a vertical CG issue. If you just put some heavier wheels on, and if that helped, then you know that's the issue, because the heavier wheels will help counter if the top of the plane is heavy, forcing the outboard wingtip out. Putting your wheels on will throw the wheels out and will lift that wingtip if it is a CG. I mean, if it is a vertical CG issue. That's a simple.
Okay.
On heavy
Let me ask on this one. It was pretty clear. It was pretty dramatic to see the again the outboard whip wing tipping down. So if I hang it vertical CG, hang it from the rafters, I should probably see some of that and at least be able to start trimming it in the right direction.
Wouldn't hurt. Yeah. Wouldn't hurt. Definitely would not hurt.
Yeah. Are you running a mono wheel or a dual wheel?
Dual wheel.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I'm running, and I didn't see any issues like you're describing on mine.
And I haven't seen it with any of the other ones we've had either. So I don't know quite what's going on with that one, but.
I run about half an ounce of tip weight in them.
Go ahead, Bob. What were you saying, Bob Hunt?
Is the outboard wing low both upright and inverted?
We haven't gotten it inverted because it's.
Well, then you don't know until you fly it inverted, because it's probably then a warp.
Okay.
That's the other thing I was going to say. I thought it might just be a warp. Yeah.
Because with that airplane that you just had up here a minute ago, what you were talking about?
No, this is another one that has not been in a crash or anything. It's pretty much
similar setup where the motor, the wing, and the stabilizer are close to the same center line.
Yes. Yep.
I accidentally muted you, Bob. Sorry. I clicked the wrong thing.
That's all right. I'm used to my wife doing that to me too. Now, so it's probably, you won't know anything until you fly it inverted and see if the outboard wing is up, then you got to warp,
Right. Okay. Yep. I've been told that. I learned that from Paris, John Paris last year at Cleveland. So.
You ought to get yourself a copy of Paul Walker's, syllabus on stunt trimming. It was published in Flying Models, but it's been published also in Pampa newsletter over the years. it gives you a trimming flow chart, and it tells you what to do in every situation. I mean, the first thing you do, no matter what, is make sure you don't have a tail heavy airplane because you may not get a second flight. A slightly nose heavy airplane won't be a problem. But the very first thing you do then is get the wings level, both upright and inverted. So
Okay.
those are the basics, you know.
That flow chart is in Flying Lines also,
Is it okay?
or it was.
Yeah,
Yeah.
flyinglines.org.
Okay. I think I've seen it referenced before on Stunthangar, so it probably can
Put a
find
copy of it into your, you know, put it into a plastic sleeve, put it in your flight box.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah.
All right, you get back to Bob Whitley, and then after Bob Whitley, it'd be Stuart Morrison, and then oh man, I forgot. Gotta get Sparky in there too. So go ahead,
Yeah.
Bob.
So went to go flying on Saturday. It was finally a nice day. Flying models, that is. And went out to the Field of Dreams, and it hadn't been mowed yet with all the crap weather and everything. Nobody's been flying or able to. So I thought, okay, I'll tramp down the dandelions so that I can lift up my lines and go fly. Fired up my the Brodak 40 that's on my profile Oriental. Everything was going great. Pushed the button on my magic launcher, and zing, it goes to take off. Except I couldn't get the lines high enough, and they snagged some dandelion clumps.
Oh no.
So it got interesting because all of a sudden the model is doing about a 270-degree turn and heading at me on the ground. And I thinking, no, am I going to drop the handle and chase after it and try and grab it, or because I had no control anyway? But it didn't get lift off quite before it hit the lines. So it severed my lines in two, both of them. So I guess technically in four. Wrapped it around. What a piece of line was actually dug into the plastic prop, and it wrapped around the crankshaft and jammed in behind the thrust plate. So I went, damn, $40 worth of lines down the drain, but at least the model's okay. Didn't do any other damage. So I had to take my puller to it and pop the thrust plate off and get the wires out from under it. But I think there's no other damage. So in hindsight, it was kind of funny. So I had two or three other sets of lines and two more airplanes. And I thought, nope, I'm packing them all up and going home. So I'm going to have to go out one night to get the club mower. We've got a riding mower and get it leveled out. But so that was a bit interesting. But yeah, and then today I was up since 5:30 and had to get one of our kitties into the vet for an operation, but that worked well. So it's feeling a little bit tired after a long day. But all in all, looking forward to maybe this weekend. They're forecasting some good weather again, even though it's crappy all week. And maybe try and get in a bunch of flights on Saturday and Sunday. And I'm under orders from my wife that on nice days on the weekend, I'm supposed to fly model airplanes instead of full-size ones. So I'll follow her directions.
Yeah, good idea. Let me get to, go ahead, Bob.
I was going to say, other than that, not much more for excitement, except to say, Sparky, it's really neat watching your flight streak, especially, you know, little details like your cover over your push rod exit is almost identical to what I did on mine those 40 some years ago. Makes a nice, neat install and easy to cover.
Ain't no way to do it but that way.
Yeah, well, most people just leave a big ugly hole there.
Very good. Let me get to Stuart Morrison and then Sparky. Hey, Stuart, how you doing?
Good. I'll get back to you about 10 o'clock. The final game of the NHL's on. So it's Florida against Edmonton, and Florida's winning 2-1. So
Where's my
I'll talk
airplane?
Good. All right.
Where's
I
my
can't
airplane
stand
at?
Edmonton.
All righty. So Sparky, how you doing, Sparky? What's going on with your flight streak?
I'm tinkering with this. This is the it's a week and a day old. We'll get it painted this week. More importantly, went out today to fly my airplane. and I've been having engine run problems. So I thought it was the motor. So I got one PA65 down there, and I ended up with a brand new one. Well, it started doing the same thing. So I changed the tank out, and it's doing the same thing. So the only thing I can think of that, that's the same between the two setups is the exhaust system. So this is the stinger that comes on Randy's muffler, this thing here.
Uh-huh.
So I'm believing that the exhaust is too restricted, because when you let it go, it fell on its face and then it would pick back up. So I went to the hobby shop and I got a piece of 9/16 tubing. So it's like 2.5 times bigger than the other. It's going to be loud, but it should breathe okay. So we're going to give that a try. I'm hoping that's the thing. The airplane flies really good. I just can't get an engine run. I've tried CAS tanks. I've tried clunk tanks. I'm going to make one of my own tanks. But I don't think that's it. I think it's in the muffler. So these mufflers. Let me get it out on the bench and show you.
$189. Hey, Bob, we'll save when they bundle.
Yeah, win $1 million. That'd be good.
Very cringy.
Speaking of Randy, I heard he's doing better. Hoping to make it to the national world.
What the hell's all that noise? Okay, these mufflers are relatively small, and it's a header muffler. It's only that long and maybe an inch in diameter. And that stinger, like I say, was 5/16. This is 9/16 here. So I'm thinking that this is the only problem I'm having is this muffler, because the engine runs good until you try to fly it, and it does some weird stuff. And today I almost felt like if it wasn't the new motor, I'd have turned it right straight down and drove it into the pavement. If I had the old motor in it.
Marky, just a brief thing. What characteristics is it showing when you're flying the motor? What is it doing?
Like today, you let it go and it would roll out about 10 foot, and then it would fall on its face like it ran out of fuel, and then it would pick up and go again. And it won't keep a constant speed. It's speeding up and slowing down. So I'm thinking that it's getting hot or whatever from having too small a restriction in the muffler. I had that other muffler on the what's going on? I had that other muffler, Casminato style muffler on the PA75, and I did the same thing. I put a great big exhaust stack in it instead of the little tiny thing that they put on it. Got any ideas, Bob?
No, I was just Bill Werwich had an airplane years ago, one of his Cunards, the one he flew at the 94 Nats in Lubbock, and he could not get that airplane to run no matter what he did. And then he finally figured out it was built so light that it had a resonance frequency in the airplane. It would bubble the fuel and it would be very erratic running until he rebuilt the nose and put a little bit heavier bearers in and beefed it up a little bit. Then it flew great. But I don't think it's the same problem we were having.
No. Two motors doing the same thing. Let it go, fall on its face. Erratic, won't hold a constant speed.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll try this. Take this out and see if that helps. And if that don't do it, I'll open it up and put a pipe in it and forget it.
Oh, all righty. Best of luck with you, Sparky, on that. Let me go back to, actually, it's Bob Hunt. Go ahead, Bob. What you been up to, Bob?
I got nothing really much to do. I just figured I'd come in and say hi to everybody. I did repair my second wind, not second wind, my turning point airplane. last year, some of you may recall, like I had both the new Genesis and the Turning Point out on the line. I was doing a little fly off right at the nets, you know, right at the last minute, like always. And I had them both out there, and I was helping Joel Costantino get his Caprice ready to go. And all of a sudden, I hear whoomp, and a little dust devil for the second time in my career out there picked up the Genesis and threw it upside down. Or, excuse me, picked up the Turning Point, threw it upside down on top of the Genesis.
Wow.
Yeah, and it put a hole in the wing right above the letters Turning Point, and it scratched the canopy. It cost me a couple of points in appearance. But it was all cosmetic damage. So the beauty of the paint I'm using is I came home and I put a decal over it to hide it. And I took the decal off, fixed the wing, sprayed it, and we're going to clear it this week. And it should be perfect. I mean, you can't see where the color blends, you know. So, and it's that beige. If anybody's interested, that paint we're using is amazing. This airplane behind me, that one on the wall there. That's the beige I have on both airplanes. And that stuff is by a company called De Beer. Anybody ever hear of them?
No. And that's a tape, you said? Tape?
What do you mean?
Oh, the paint.
The paint.
Oh, paint. I thought you said tape.
No, paint.
No,
that
paint.
it took 2 fluid ounces of paint to paint that airplane.
Wow.
That stuff goes a long way. It's $400 a quart. The Porsche cream.
Let me have a gallon.
Tom Huff and I went in halvesies on it, and he painted an airplane. I painted 2, and I don't think we took an inch out of the top of that can.
Wow.
Yeah.
What kind of paint is it, Bob?
I'm sorry?
What kind of paint is it?
It's polyester. Everybody calls it polyurethane. Car paints are not polyurethane anymore. They're polyester. It's a polyester paint, and it's from Europe. It's actually the parent company is Valspar, but the stuff is called De Beer. And Joel Costantino, who does Barrett Jackson level car restorations, he said this is the best paint he's ever shot in his life, and he's been shooting for 40 years. You know, he said this is far and away the best paint and the lightest paint. So you know, if you want to bite the bullet with somebody, find somebody that wants to buy the same color, you know, paint a bunch of airplanes the same color. That stuff is really amazing. It goes on very light, and it matches. I mean, you just perfectly. You can't see the where you matched it.
So water based?
That's awesome.
What's that?
Is it water based?
No, it's regular car paint. It's got a you can catalyze it, but or activate it, but you don't have to. It has a reducer and a paint, and it just goes on like it flows out better than any paint I've ever seen in my life. And very, very faint edges. You don't even have to do anything to the edges, so you know, hardly none there. So it's pretty neat stuff.
Wow.
Yeah, it's expensive. It's expensive. And again, you have to put a clear coat over it, you know. So.
Huh. Well, thank you, Bob. And next up is Mark Gerber. How you doing, Mark?
Good, Charles. How are you?
I'm doing good.
Oh, I've been tinkering around trying to fix up a few things. I had a little damage out at Rodex. My Ryan got a little hole in the wing.
Oh man.
I think what happened was on the first flight on Friday, hit a little hole in the grass and it nosed over and stopped. And I took an attempt and we went down and the prop was fine. I thought the prop would be broken. And then I came back and did my flight. And then later I noticed that there was this hole in the wing. And if you line up the angle of this hole, it points right to the nose. I think a prop kicked something up that went through the fabric. So,
Huh.
so I cut it out, stripped down, took Q-tips and thinner and went around the edge and took all the paint off there. And I put some silk span back over it and doped it down. And I doped the silk span. I'm doping that up good, and then I'll do the usual, put in filler and sand it down good and spray some silver on it and get it nice and shiny and get it molded into the finish. And I'll have to redo the whole insignia.
Yeah.
Probably the whole wing, because the yellow, I think this wing still has the original Brodak yellow on it, and I haven't had much luck matching Brodak paints the last few years, so I had some damage on the other side. A couple of years ago, I ended up getting some yellow from Randolph. It was the closest match I could get to the original Brodak yellow. So anyway, that's what I've been doing.
Wow. Well, thanks for sharing. Looking good.
I'm going to say goodnight, Charles.
Hey,
So-
all right, man. Thanks for coming in.
Hopefully catch you guys on Friday.
All right.
Have a
So
good-
take care. All right. So that brings up Jim Hoffman. And Jim, I'm so sorry I couldn't get to you last time you came in. I know you had to go, but you was waiting patiently, but I just couldn't get to you. And then when I was he was available, I mean, when I was available for you, you was gone. So
No big thing. No big thing. So let's see what's new. I've been flying a little bit. I'm
right.
able to get out on Sundays. And probably the most interesting thing, I've been dabbling with spectral lines
all right.
for about a year and a half, probably. You know, I started with the smaller airplanes and just keep working my way up to more high value airplanes and bigger airplanes. And it's been very, very successful. Pretty much all my smaller, you know, old time classic type airplanes are on Spectra now. So I made the big leap and tried a big one, you know, this Predator full size airplane, weighs in the high 60s, probably with a battery in it. And I use a 100-pound fins wind tamer. And I flew it a few times, flew it maybe half a dozen times. And I was really torn, you know, is it better? Is it worse? Is it different?
Right.
I really couldn't tell much. And then someone suggested, how does it feel in the corners? Because, you know, the enemy of these spectral lines is stretch. And so I flew some back-to-back flights with 18 thousandths braided cable and Spectra. Back-to-back, I changed nothing except tip weight to equalize it. And after a couple of flights, I pretty much confirmed to myself that the corner was crispier, snappier with the cable. So that's probably stretch. And I went back to, I'm going to just stay with the cables until I have some reason to change.
Right.
So that was it.
Too, Jim.
Say again?
I found that too, especially with the bigger airplanes. The little airplanes, they don't seem to have that much pull. They don't stretch as much, but the big airplanes pull quite a bit harder. I had to open up the handle spacing 3/16 inch per side in order to get the same corner. If the lines were stretching, I just put more handle into it.
Yeah, that can do it. Yep.
Yeah, but I'm like you. I'm gonna stay on cables or solids.
Yeah.
What I found with Spectras is when you come into the wind, they feel like they open up, like they fan out or something. You know, I don't know what it is.
Oh,
well, there's a whole phenomena because you can see them so much better. You find yourself looking at them, and the steel cables, you really don't look at them. No. So that was my revelation. The other thing I did is I bought some carbon thin, 5,000 sheet to reinforce spars, and I had read that carbon veil is becoming not available, or through what's the name, Justin Spar, you got to buy a square mile of it or something. So this company that I've dealt with them in the past, CST,
right?
They were terrific to work with, and I saw they had carbon veil on their website. And I asked the guy on the phone, you have that? He says, yeah, no problem. So it appears to be available. I mean, I haven't bought any of theirs or tried it, but that's something I learned this week.
Justin was one of us. He was a national champion, in June, and I think it was 92 at the Nationals. And if one of us would call him, I'd volunteer to call him and say, look, man, can you make a special deal for the control line stunt guys, so if we can get smaller quantities of that stuff at a better price, he might do it. He's a good guy.
Yeah, I dealt with them for probably 20 years. Always very, very good. Very good to deal with.
Hey, Jim, I'm sorry to interrupt you, Jim, but last time you was on, we was talking about the kill loops, and you had your finger raised, and I couldn't get to you because of other people. And we was talking about kill loops. I got that conversation going with Keith Trossel. Do you remember what you wanted to say about the kill loops?
I did. It wasn't about kill loops. We were talking about landing in general.
Okay.
Now, I'm a terrible lander. I've lost several contests on bounce the landing. But there's one technique that not many people ever think about is when you're, an inch from the ground, a lot of times you pull back, and that'll add some energy to the airplane, add some lift.
Right.
You can do the opposite and release a little bit, and it'll sink.
It'll slow the airplane down.
Yeah, not easy to do. A lot of times you do yourself more harm than good, but that's a technique that I've played with, and I know a couple other people who use that. No, that's what I was going to say.
Also, on landing, what does everybody focus on when you're landing? What are you looking at when you're landing?
I'm looking at the wheels.
Bingo. Look at the wheels, because that's what's hitting the ground.
Right.
That's what
and
Billy Burr was talking about. He said, look at the wheels. And when the wheels touch, you can feed it a little bit of down. And like Jim said, move slightly towards the airplane. It'll kill the lift, and the airplane will stick.
Yep. I have taken to, if the lighting is right, I take my sunglasses off after I've done that last clover leaf, just for that reason, so I can actually see the wheels better.
Great idea.
Yeah. But watch me land. I suck.
A lot of people don't realize it's not just left and right and up and down. There's just as much forward and aft. And it's a three-dimensional thing. And I think a lot of people have trouble at the top of outside squares on square eights and things like that, because they're pulling on the airplane when they get up there, and it yanks it right in towards them. You actually have to go up and go almost forward and place the airplane on top of the square. So it's a very subtle in and out, as well as left and right. It's just as much this, but it's kind of like in a in a little hemisphere you're flying in. Everything is moving as you need to.
Bob, say that again about the top of the square.
A lot of people come up to the top of a square eight and they turn that corner, and the airplane will stay there. It have a hard time placing it and holding it there. A lot of times it's because they come up and they yank on it, and they pull the airplane in off the top of that, that loop, that square, that flat. They pull it in, and that's why it sinks. But if you give control as you're turning that corner, it'll place the airplane there, and it won't yank it out of line. It'll stay in track.
Nice.
Yeah. I fly in a lot of dead air in summertime.
And it's subtle. It's a very subtle thing. It's not a lot, but it's definitely a little in and out as much as it is left and right and up and down. It's also in and out.
Yeah, it's very good. Very good.
Pearls of wisdom. Thank you, Bob.
Absolutely. And Jim too. Jim Hoppin with the
Well, Jim too. I didn't mean to exclude Jim. I've been having trouble with the top of that 8. Especially the second 8, the second square of the 8, the outside.
The same
It
thing at
must
the
have-
top of the hourglass. A lot of people get up there and they yank on it and they're pulling the airplane out of track. You want to place the airplane on that line. You don't want to be yanking it in towards you. A lot of people just, when they give control for a square or a triangle, they're yanking on their lines. And it's a placement. You're placing the airplane from one flat to the other, not yanking on it to make it turn. A lot of people go to a corner and just smack it. It's place, place, place. And if you do it fluidly and get so you know what the airplane needs in and out, it'll help you a lot.
I can't say that I do pull it, but I can't say that I don't. So I'll watch that next time.
Yeah,
Thank
watch
you.
out for it.
Just to clarify my understanding, Jim, regarding the plane is an inch or two or less above the deck, why not just wait for it to sink and land? Why step into it or move the handle toward the plane?
Well, that's doing nothing is probably the best strategy. But if you're in a spot where you want it to kiss now, maybe because you're about to come into the wind and gain a bunch of lift, you want it to drop now, then you can do that.
Okay.
Try it. It's not easy. It's not easy to execute and have a nice landing. You could easily bounce it.
Right.
And I know, Charles, you fly in grass. It's a completely different world than flying on, pavement.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I've watched Joe Gilbert land, and he's one of the better landers that I know of. And Joe steps into it as he lands, but he also has a thing. Everybody always gets me when their plane runs lean at the end of a pattern. What do? What does everybody do? They take it up high. That's making it worse. Joe Gilbert brings it down 4 feet high or less where he's flying in ground effect. The air is thicker. That's something you'll learn real quick if you've got to fly sailplanes. And he pulls on the plane like I've forgotten the word, but anyway, he pulls on, huh?
Well, he's unloading the motor.
There you go. He's unloading the motor and it burns fuel faster. You don't overheat your motor. It just works. It burn the fuel off quicker. Then when he goes to land, he takes a full step at the airplane as it touches. And like I say, he's one of the best landers I've ever seen. Bobby ain't bad himself.
Good point, though. Good point about not flying high. If you think you're going to go long, fly as level as you can because that's where you're going to burn the most fuel. That's where the engine will be the richest. The more you put load on the motor, the more lean it's going to get, the hotter it's going to get, and it's going to use less fuel, and it'll overrun. Don't ask me how I know.
Oh yeah, I know how you know. Same way I know. Not good. School of Hard Knocks, folks.
Let me go on to Carl. And matter of fact, let me hold up. I've been ignoring the chat box. Let me see here. Marcel Legrand says, hi, Charles, and everyone at Stunt School, just building a new twin. I already read that. And then Joe Thompson says, hey, Charles, looking forward to flying with you this Friday and the usual suspects. Yep, we should have a good crowd this Friday. And Jack Snavely says, hello. I haven't seen Jack Snavely in a long time. Says, hello, all still watching. And he has some big eyes. Thank you very much. And then Joe Thompson says, got to say hi to Steve Smith, too. So Joe Thompson says hi, and I imagine to you, Sparky, as well. Your old flying buddy, Joe Thompson.
Yeah.
And Jeff Riley, he had something. And then Dennis Adamison, who's a member of our YouTube channel. Thank you so much, Dennis, for your financial support. He gave us a like. Thank you very much. And next is Carl Reed. Is he still here? He was here a second ago. Anyway, so I'll go on to Philip Bailey. How you doing, Philip?
I'm doing great. Spent the day working in the shop. Half of it cleaning up, half of it building. But
that's good.
I'm about to get this thing ready to put some money coat on it and have it ready to fly again. I'm rebuilding the front of the Vector. And I'm going to tell you what, anybody that thinks Dennis is not brilliant, try to rebuild one of his front ends because he designed that front end that's on those planes. And I'm telling you, you try to rebuild one of those from toothpicks, carnage from a crash. That's the one that quit overhead when the crack in the circuit board
Right.
We flew into cold weather and it went in. And Lord have mercy. I'm telling you, that thing, that's been a chore. I have to figure it out, just pick puzzle pieces and then figure out the sizes and everything. I could have built two in the time it's taken me to put this thing back together, but I just wanted the challenge. So I did it, but it's almost back together. I'm putting the electronics back in it as I go, because if you've ever built one of these ARFs, the biggest pain in the backside of the whole plane is getting the electronics in it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm getting it, but I am making one conversion. I've always hated the way you strap the battery in the thing.
Right.
Sparky gone dog on it. Anyway, I've always hated that, so I put one of Bob's front ends in it, the battery on I've forgotten what you call it anyway, but look at one of Bob's front ends and so you'll see how he puts his batteries in. Now mine's like that, and it's
good.
A little different. I think it's going to be neat.
Yeah, I like Bob's system too. I do.
Yeah, I'm putting it on Genesis Extreme, and I'm putting it on that. The Crossfire, unfortunately, is a side loader, but can't have everything.
Right.
But we're coming.
Fantastic. Let me see here. Next is Lynn Burrell. Hey, Lynn, how you doing, Lynn?
Guys, how's everybody doing?
Doing well. Doing well.
Good stuff.
Been
Just
doing rubbing and
wrapping up the new airplane. It's getting close now. I'm just ready to start putting things back together, all the parts and paraphernalia. So hopefully by the end of the week or early next week, I'll get to test fly it. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm not, like I said, I'm not exactly excited about the finish. It didn't come out quite as good as I had hoped, but still learning. One step at a time.
Right. Right. One step at a time. That's how you learn your lesson.
The main thing was I didn't let it get too heavy. I wasn't going to just keep spraying coats on it and making it heavier. I just stopped. It's like, nope, that's it. Enough. I knew what the weight was I was aiming for, and when I got to there, that was it. It's like, oh, I got no more paint for you. Sorry.
Good for you. Good for you. Really
The idea for me is that it's got to fly well. If it doesn't fly well, the whole thing's a waste of time. It has to fly. So the finish, I can keep working on finishes for the many years to come, hopefully, but I can't fly as Sparky would say, a lumber wagon and make it fly like a gazelle. It's not going to happen.
Right. Well, up next is Dennis. Denny, how you doing, Dennis? You're muted, Dennis.
All right. I bet that's better.
Yeah.
I joined in the middle of a bunch of conversations. Sounds like you guys are having a pretty good time.
Yeah, we've had some good. I was hoping you would have been there when we talked about the spectral lines. An observation that it might be a little bit of a stretch in the corners.
Yeah, Jim and I from Jim Hoffman bring that up.
Yeah, Jim, and so did Bob Hunt.
Okay. Well, like I've always said, that been less focused on whether the lines will hold up, braking or not. More the focus is on stretching. Mm-hmm. And thought I had a pretty good thing going there for a while, but the lines the Jim just tried and stuff like that said we got some more work to do. So
yeah, ever since I put the spectral lines on my if they're Spectra, I got them from you. I don't know if they're Spectra or Quattro or what they are, but ever since I put them on my SV11, I never went back to cable. So I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm getting some funny feedback here. I was flying on 80-pound max Quattro, and I thought it worked pretty good, but I thought maybe there was another opportunity, so I went to 100-pound line. I gave some 100-pound wind tamer to somebody who had been flying on 100-pound max Quattro, and he said that the wind tamer line was noticeably stiffer. And so I thought we're on to something. I didn't have anything that I was flying on it at that time or anything like that. And so I just had a 500-yard spool of this stuff. So I had some people, wanted some lines for big airplanes and stuff like that, but I'm thinking maybe I got to rethink this. That's all.
Yep.
We'll see.
You been doing any flying?
Not at all.
Not at all. Okay.
No, it's been 99 degrees in the shade, so I haven't gone there.
Right.
And I've just been sitting and hanging out indoors and stuff like that. I've been trying to catch up on paperwork, keep getting the workshop sort of under control and whatever. So
You've been doing no building, I guess, huh?
and nothing to speak of. I've been trying to rebuild something here, but it's really a little early to talk about it.
Okay.
I took that airplane I crashed and I tried to I think I saved the wing, and I've got it put into a fiberglass fuselage that was never supposed to have a wing, and it was supposed to have a plug-in wing. And I'm figuring this out as I go. So I got this really sleek fuselage on this really sleek wing, and but it does all that's all it looks like right now. It's just a wing and a fuselage. So looks like that.
Let me make it big here. 1 second. Hang on. Looks like okay, really a high aspect wing, huh?
Mm-hmm. Of course, they all look that way until you put flaps on them.
Right, true.
But
well, I like those wheel pants too.
That's slick.
Sure.
I spent entire day trying to figure out how to get a landing gear in it, and it's actually mounted in the wing, but it looks like it's coming out of the fuselage. So I
Is that
had
a fiberglass?
to.
Is that fiberglass?
Yeah, it's a glass fuselage, and it was actually designed for plug-in wings. So the first thing I had to do was to cut a wing opening in it, and then after I cut the wing opening in it, I had to. You can't hardly see it. I put some 64 ply down as a base, and I put a fillet on it. And on the bottom side, figured it basically comes for free anyway. I'm going to have the wing is going to be removable. I'm going to bolt it on. The belly pan will be glued to the wing, billet it in, and be some interaction there. It was not designed for a side access battery like I like. So I had to cut a battery door opening. And I used, I don't know if you can see that.
Yeah.
My big brother here makes these G10 phenolic motor plates. Yeah, and I have one in a glass fuselage. I don't know.
Yeah.
Hey, Bob, how many of you guys have done that, or are they all putting them in wood?
I don't know. I mean, you may be the first to put it into a fiberglass fuselage, as far as I know.
Yeah.
But who would have thought that Dennis Adamison would have a high aspect ratio airplane?
It's yep. It's
your next project better be that Fuga Magister, though.
I don't know. I got a really good idea for a quadron or cadrone or whatever I'd really like to do. So I don't know. We'll see. But that's it. I'd say there's not an awful lot to see yet. And
looks good, though.
I'm trying to salvage, that's the wing that out of my broken airplane. It's the landing gear out of my broken airplane. Around here somewhere is to stab an elevator from that airplane. I'm trying to put all the pieces onto a glass fuselage.
Yeah.
And the fuselage is really, really sleek. It's going to look, shall we say, genocidal. But
is it going to have those fancy flaps on it like it had before?
No, it won't. Those got lost. I had to cut basically the trailing edge of the wing, mainly through the center. It's all messed up. I had to cut 7/8 of an inch off the back of the wing, and then I capped it with a piece of 3/8, so the wing got a 1/2 inch narrower than it was. So it's going to end up 61-inch span with a 10-inch cord, which is pretty close to a 6:1 aspect ratio, which is a good place. That's a good place.
565, 570 squares.
610.
Oh, that's that big. Okay. Yeah, you got a little more
10,
cord.
10-inch cord by 61 inches.
Yeah,
Real simple math on that one.
Yeah, mine's not 9 1/8 by
Yeah.
63.
Yeah, yours is skinnier than this. But
Hmm.
6-to-1 works pretty well. And, and the sleek fuselage and everything like that, I'm anticipating it's going to be pretty frugal on battery usage. So I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, looks good, Dan.
Well, I don't know if I go that far, but it's going to. It's going to look better. So, and yes, I'll fly it on Spectra lines. So,
Is this gonna be your Nat ship?
huh? It was supposed to be the first time. Thought it might be the second time, but I don't know. We got what? Basically
6 weeks, 5
month.
weeks.
Yeah. So
It's a lot of work to do in that amount of time.
You guys build them. It takes me 3 months. You guys put them together in 3 weeks. So who knows?
yeah. I don't know, man. If I can get, basically, it's got to be framed up and ready to cover by the weekend to have a fighting chance of making this happen. So we'll see.
What are you doing here?
Yeah. We're not trying to get rid of you or anything.
Don't chase them away.
I got tired of working on it, so that's why I'm here. But,
all right, yeah, this is a nice reprieve. If you're busy in shop, come on in. Speaking
Know
of,
the feeling.
I think the landing gear is going to hold. We're going to survive. I literally been working on it all day long, trying to figure out how to put a landing gear. I couldn't find a good place or good way to mount it in the glass, and so it had to go into the wing. And of course, the wing had no provision for it. And I even wondered about trying to put putting it out mid-span and stuff. That wasn't going to be any better. But so I don't know. I ended up with a fuselage gear mounted on a platform in the middle of the wing, but it looks like a fuselage gear.
Yeah.
And somehow that makes sense. So
yeah, it's a neat look.
yeah,
Pretty cool.
It is.
You know what I've been working on? Let me show you. Let me share screen share. I just started working on this yesterday. I think it was yesterday or the day before. Can you guys see that?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm making, I have like 4 stunt trainers. I initially had one. I built a tank for it, came out really nice. And I have 3 more of these stunt trainers that require a special tank. So I laid out the templates for 5 tanks, and this is where I'm at. They still need to be soldered in the back, and then I'm going to do the plumbing and all that. But I have shared some images with some other people of the first tank I made, where I show the progression of this and then the end caps and the plumbing and all that. But they're not on my computer; they're on my phone, so it's kind of it's a little bit difficult for me to move them to my computer. But I thought I would just share what I've been up to.
Yeah. Looks great.
Thank you. Yeah, so
You're a sheet metal worker.
Yeah, I'll probably end up selling a couple of them because the stunt trainers, there's some other guys I fly with, they're going to get some also, which require a specialized tank. So,
How many milliamps can I put in there?
I got to do that conversion of ounces to milliamps. I don't know. So that's what I've been working on. Let me stop sharing. Thank you.
Feel good.
And I'm using that that tool from Jim Lee to bend the tin. So if you don't have that tool, I'm not saying that's the only way to do it, but it really is a nice tool. So if you go to Jim Lee Machine Shop, he has a tank bending tool he makes in a couple different sizes, and that's what I'm using. I spent most of my time working on the first tank. The first tank took a long time for me to design it. This tank is 1 inch tall and it's 3 inches wide. So it's 3 inches long. So it's really something you can't find commercially available. But I spent majority of the time designing the first one. So these are benefiting from all the time I invested in making the first one. So, and it's easier to make 5 at one time than to do 5 over a period of different times, and then remember where everything is at and find everything. So I just thought, let me just wipe out 5 of them right now.
Once you get it figured out, just go ahead and do it.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a good idea, Charles. Just go ahead and knock 5 of them out and be done with it.
Yeah.
Especially if you only need 3 or 4.
Mhm.
Right. Yeah, I only need 3 more. I already have 1. I just need 3 more. So the other 2, I might sell to Joe Mata, and there's another guy, Keith Bozell, who I think is also going to get the stunt trainer. I call it a stunt trainer. I forgot what it's actually called, but it's a foam wing with a plank fuselage and an upright engine.
How many ounce capacity are there?
Those are about, I forgot what I calculated. I think it was, they're over 4 ounces.
And how many dollars worth of fuel is that?
How much what?
How many dollars worth of fuel is that?
I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, price of fuel has gone up. So yeah, but I'm enjoying it, and it's just something else on the plane that you can take pride in. I can only imagine those guys that made the engine and made the plane and made the tank and made the prop, and made the lines and made the handle and made the wheels. And when they go out there flying that must be a great feeling that they made everything, and the bell crank and the lines, everything. Yeah, so
I never thought of that, but it's true.
yeah, when I went to Brodax, I met a guy and he was selling the stuff, the castings for the engines that he made and stuff. And I was like, you make your own engines? He goes, yeah, I make my own engines and the plane. And I'm just like, wow, that blew my mind. I mean, I just never even thought of a hobbyist making
Well, it's serious BOM.
But does he smelt the metal? Does he actually smelt the metal? And
Oh, well, what the heck? Used commercially available
yeah, he's
stock.
in the backyard. He's actually getting the
get a shovel and go dig up some aluminum ore and
That's the real reason I'm here. I'm taking a break. I've got some toothbrushes melting in acetone. I need some glue. I need some glue to continue. So I'm melting down some toothbrushes. All right.
Did you grow the balsa wood tree?
Well, that's it's not quite ready to harvest yet. So
mature enough yet.
I'm trying to prevent it. They're building some windmills out here, and everybody's eyeing up my tree. So
get some film to make some glue. You could melt some film down to make some glue also, so you can glue your plane together.
My God.
Charles, you live spitting distance from a museum that has just what you're describing. Homemade engines, the Craftsmanship Engineering Museum.
I need to go there. I keep forgetting about that. Yeah,
I go there every time I'm in the area. My sister lives 5 minutes from there. Not to be missed.
Well,
go to their website.
I will.
Their website is fabulous.
What's it called, Jim?
Craftsmanship Engineering. Let me look them up here.
Yeah, I've heard they got incredible things that they make there. Yeah, it's not that far from me. Probably maybe 40 minutes with traffic and everything. It's out there near Carlsbad, I think.
It's in Carlsbad.
Yeah, Randy Reed up in Detroit area makes his own engines. He calls it BOM, builder of the motor.
Jim. Craftsman. Thank you, Craftsman Museum. Okay.
They're not open every day of the week. Make sure they're open. But
all right, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Yeah, I gotta check it out.
Very good.
And I imagine they use that small. What's that small lathe that you can use to make that kind of stuff? They have small lathes and small mills.
Unimat?
Tag.
Starts with the S, I thought, the name.
I think it's Shoreline.
Yeah, Shoreline. Yeah, that's probably all I could fit in my shop. Would be a Shoreline tabletop lathe or Shoreline tabletop mill because I don't have any space. And for the modeling, that's probably plenty of What you thinking there, Lynn? You shaking your head? No. What's up?
I can't even imagine making my own engines when there's so many guys out there still, even if there's only a couple who can rework and make beautiful motors.
Yeah.
I'm
Well,
not gonna
I'm thinking
start
about just
making a motor.
I'm thinking just to turn down things or just to make Venturi.
It's not gonna. The learning curve on that, I'd be real gray and my eyes are bad already. I'd be in big trouble real quick.
Yeah. And when you buy a lathe or a mill, that's just the beginning. You spend more.
Oh
You spend
yeah,
that much,
I don't have either.
tooling to get it to work. I mean, and plus the learning curve. So I
My
just
dad
rely on.
was a tool and die. Yeah, my dad was a tool and die maker and a machinist, and he taught me a few things. But when I was younger and he was around, like, I mean, my dad lived to be 90 and I was 45 at the time. But the thing is, at the time, up until then, I wasn't interested in any of that stuff. Like, I mean, he had done that his whole life and he could make anything. I mean, he was one of those kind of guys who'd done it all his life. And I so wish now that I had watched closer. I should have paid a lot more attention. I got the basics, but only the very raw basics. And I didn't learn enough. And I didn't learn what I needed to learn.
I know. I feel you on that, man. I really do. I had a dear friend pass away, and he was basically a tool and die maker as well. And I miss him very much. He did a lot of things, and I enjoyed just working with him. That was just this guy was almost 80 and brilliant man. And
Brilliant on making stuff feel like that. Yeah, exactly. And I didn't realize what I had when I was in my 20s and 30s. And I mean, I was building model airplanes then, but I didn't understand enough to know what I had at my disposal.
Yeah,
Because my dad could go out to the shop and he could make anything I needed. But I'm asking for silly little things like, I don't know, can you make me a control horn or something silly like that? When this guy had the knowledge to make anything I could have wanted, but I didn't understand enough about it.
What's Dennis holding up there?
Well, this is
I make you big, Dennis.
this is I've shown this off before, but instead of machining this stuff now, modern folks are printing them. So
wow,
look at that.
That is interesting. Wow.
My dear departed brother made this. Actually, Jeff Riley asked him for some help. He wanted Dave to make a little bypass block to keep his foxes from burping. And of course, Dave never did anything halfway. He started looking. He took a fox apart. And he was looking at the geometry, trying to figure out what he wanted. It'd be easier if he could, if he could model the bypass, then he could make the part to fit the bypass. Well, and then after he started modeling the bypass, he started modeling the inside and the outside, and lo and behold, he had a Fox 35. So a gold
cool?
Fox, no less. That is the 15th anniversary version or whatever it was.
Wow, that is amazing.
Solid gold.
Yeah, it's gold filament. His long-term plan, he was gonna print all of the parts and everything like that, and unfortunately, he never got around that far. But he had the case. He was gonna try to print the cylinder and the crankshaft and all that kind of stuff too. But anyhow, you don't need modern machine tools, and of course there are really high-end stuff. People are printing metal parts and stuff like that. So I don't know. It may not be that far in our future.
Amazing. Amazing.
We were printing metal parts at my work 10 years ago. You get as cast properties and the tolerances you need in the machine surfaces, you still got to come back and machine, but you can replace a casting with
you get
3D
a near
printed
net
part.
that you just basically kind of polish it up at that point. So yeah.
Absolutely amazing. Let me catch up on the chat box. Let me see here. Stephen Smith said, thanks, Joe. Good to hear from you. And then Terry Forbes says, hi, Charles. Hey, Terry. And then Jeff Riley says, Charles, your tanks are 4.95 ounces capacity. Thank you. That answers that question, Bob. And Terry Forbes says, here's a tip for Spectra line flyers. I'm using 100-pound that I soak and squeeze out the excess. I do this with clear polyurethane.
Soak them in what?
I think he's saying clear polyurethane. Is that right, Terry? Get back to me. And he says the trick is to get into the sunlight and dry while wound on the plastic bucket. And then Terry Forbes says, I wipe off excess with paper towels. Zero stretch. Zero. So that's something to consider. Let me see here. So
Nothing has zero stretch.
Nothing sticks to it, so I'm not sure how that would work. But Mark, what size line were you using on your Bearcat?
80-pound.
All right.
Max Quattro.
All right. And what did that weigh?
The Bearcat?
Yeah.
64 ounces.
Okay, so that's same kind of ballpark Jim's at. I don't know, Jim. Maybe it's just the wrong line material. Maybe the wind tamer is the wrong answer.
Again, we need to get some instrumentation and measure some stretches and see what we really got.
When I was making them up, the lines felt stiffer than steel because I had stretched some 018s a long time ago. Just Armstrong method. I had never measured it or anything like that.
I know when I get a new set, I pull like mad too, and I'm amazed at how why they don't break, but they don't.
Yeah. Well, I pull it with my scale. I pull the 100-pound line. I'll pull 50 pounds, which means for a pair of lines, I'm pulling 100-pound equivalent, that's even more pull test than Len uses. So not a lot more than what Len uses, but anyhow. But again, it's not I don't think it's the braking strength that I'm worried about as much as I'm worried about the stretching. So
Terry Forbes, he flies these vintage combat planes on 100-foot lines.
100-pound?
No, 100-foot.
100-foot lines. Okay.
Yeah. Really.
I got to run.
All right. Hey, thanks for coming in, Jim.
Thanks,
Jim.
Jim.
Have a good week.
All right.
Take care, Jim. Have a great week.
Bye.
All right. So we're all back.
Hey, Charles?
Yeah.
On my new airplane, what I'm planning to do is I'm using regular 100-pound Spectra, not Max Quattro, just regular 100-pound Spectra. I've already made up a set of lines for the new airplane. I'm also going to make up a set of 18 thou braids, and I'm going to fly on both fairly consistently for the first few weeks of flying the airplane, and we'll see what I come up with.
Oh, yeah.
Because I like the Spectra, but if I find that the airplane's flying better on the steel, I will fly on the steel at the Nats and the Worlds. I like Spectra, but I want to make sure that I'm flying on what I feel is the best lines.
Oh, absolutely.
Of the two.
Oh, absolutely.
So we're going to give it a go and see, because I've always found they both seem fairly comparable to me. Like I haven't been able to exclusively say, oh, I'm happier with the steel, or oh, I'm happier with the Spectra. Up until now, I've found fairly consistent with both of them. So I really want to try it right from the get-go on the new airplane and sort of fly back to back, fly a few flights with the Spectra, fly a few flights with the steel. And I think I'm going to be able to tell fairly quickly when I'm using the hard point handle and the proper clips, what I like better.
What do you think,
So we'll
Gary
see what
Sinclair?
happens. Go ahead, Bob.
What do you think, Gary Sinclair? What do you think?
Okay, that's funny.
I think he's tired of the discussion. So,
I flew on the Fins 4G 80-pound test. Jim Pagani made a setup for me, and I flew the Genesis on them, which is only 54 ounces with the battery on board.
Wow.
And even that, I had to open up the handle spacing a little bit to get the same kind of crispness. Yeah. But having said that, I did get the same kind of crispness. It's not like it was the stretch with the detrimental thing It's just required
No,
a little
okay.
bit different handle setting. And
Right.
then I was able to get the same kind of corner and the same lock and everything else. So I'm not saying that the stuff is bad. I'm saying it requires maybe some adjustment in your rest of your equipment to make it work like you
Yeah,
want it.
different setup. Yeah, different
Right.
setup.
That's quite possible.
Now,
When
I
I
haven't tried
first,
it on the Twin yet. The Twin pulls pretty hard. And
Mhm.
I have it on 14 solids. Big surprise. And I was thinking about going to the Spin 4G 100-pound. Dennis and I were talking about that the other day. And I might try that yet. But I'm getting pretty close to the Nats, and I got the thing working really well. So I'll probably end up flying the solids at this Nats and then try to switch over and experiment after the Nats.
yeah, when I first, I've found the last couple of years that I was using 018s. I was using 018 19 strand because they're so slippery and everything like that. And I just, just never really liked the way my airplane was flying or anything like that. I figured the airplane had issues and stuff like that. And then one day at the Nats, day before, I did not have a backup set of lines set up. So I was the day before the official flying started, I had some 7-strand 18,000s lines. And I put those on and I couldn't believe the difference in the airplane. And that's when I learned that the 19 strands were stretchier than the 018. Then I was flying the 018 lines on a different airplane, actually a heavier airplane, a few weeks later. And back to back went to the 100-pound regular Power Pro, like combat guys use. And
That's what I'm using. Yeah.
it actually felt better, and what really sold it for me is how slippery it was. I was able to make round loops that were round. I could make little finite adjustments with it. With the steel lines, it felt like I'd go to make a little adjustment and I'd get a big lurch one way or the other. I couldn't fine tune anything. And then with the Spectra I could, and I could go deeper in the corners. Felt like I was going deeper into the corners and coming out of it cleaner and everything like that. So it was, that was the alpha and omega for me. And I have not flown anything on steel since. So.
Okay.
Has anybody flown the Ruslan Kirinkov 17.5 lines?
No, huh?
You were using those, weren't you? I thought you were using those.
I'm using the 14.5s.
Okay.
I've used the 14.5 and the 6500. 65. Yeah.
He makes a 17,000. I'm supposed to get a few sets from Polsky, because I've been flying on those and I like them. On the Turning Point and on the Crossfire, I've been flying those lines and I like them a lot.
Yeah, I haven't used them in a
They're
long
very
time.
slippery, and because they're only three strand, right?
Right.
So they're pretty slippery, and like Dennis says, that makes the airplane much easier to make minute corrections in rounds and hit that intersection point better. You just kick right on that intersection point, which was a little harder on some of the other lines.
Yeah. Let me welcome Joe Gilbert. Hey, Joe, thanks for coming in. I appreciate it.
No worries. Good to see y'all.
Good to see you too.
You too, Joe.
Hi, Joe.
Have you been watching the show, Joe, or are you just
No, I was watching the Olympics. I'm sorry, I forgot it's on tonight. So I get on for a minute, see what's going on.
Yeah, so we was talking about.
I think y'all can work something out. I don't know what
Is that you, Phil? Thank you. No way. All right. Yeah, so we've had some good conversations tonight. We talking about Spectra. Do you use Spectra lines, Joe?
No, I use steel, and I got some of those Ukrainian lines for my big birds. I use 14,500 3-wire copper. They look like copper coated. I don't know what they're coated with, but they're
brass.
Yeah, brass.
Yeah, they're brass coated, but they break easy. They are brittle.
Yeah.
I have those too.
The stretch on those is really quite minimal, in my opinion.
Yeah.
You could go, I've been running 64-foot lines where I used to run 62-foot lines on the same airplane and get the same feel. I like those Ukrainian lines. They're a little trouble, you got to be careful with them and clean them when you put them up and yada, yada, yada. But I think there's a performance advantage over 14 and a half over 18s. In my opinion, there's a performance advantage.
Yeah, there was a precaution not to put them in a Ziploc bag. How do you store your
After I get done flying, I run them and clean them, roll them up, put my handle rubber band and put them in my box on top of microfiber towels.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, they said don't put them in a Ziploc bag.
Is that, and he even sells stuff to clean them with. That's what I use.
Yeah, I bought that stuff too. Yeah.
I don't know if it's okay to put them on microfiber towels, but I lay them on there in my box, wrapped up in a microfiber, just cause it makes me feel good.
All right. And Joe, you also was talking earlier about landing, and Philip Bailey was giving you credit about you're really good at landing. And Jim Hoppin talked about how when the wheels get close to the ground, sometimes you'll just step into the plane a little bit to help it
settle.
Yeah, sit.
Yep. Well, some of the deal, the airplanes are going angled some. So if you're going crooked and you'll hit sideways, it wants to skip them. If you let them have their breath, they can just roll on the ground and then kiss it down and rot them out, That last 2 inches is the hard part. I'm sure Bob does all that.
And we were talking about it. I mean,
yeah,
I do the same thing. I mean, Billy Simons taught me that. He said, to slow the airplane up, you walk towards it. And just before touching down, I focused on the wheel and I just give a little bit of, not much, everybody, when you say walk towards it, it's not like 3 feet. It's just it's like 3/4 of an inch sometimes. And it'll take the load off and slow the airplane down. It'll settle right in.
I agree. 100%. I agree. Kiss the pavement.
Everybody looks at the hard maneuvers, the air maneuvers. It's a thing they focus on. But takeoffs and landings are not easy.
No.
Not at all.
They need practice too.
But
Especially
that's the most
when you fly
given.
off
That's the
grass.
most
You
given
fly off
away
grass all the
points.
time when you're practicing on grass, and then you have to go to a big contest that's on asphalt. That's a challenge.
It is. It absolutely is. I will go to. I'll drive another 45 minutes. Mind you, my flying feels like 10 minutes for me, but close to a contest, I have to drive 45 minutes away to go find an asphalt area that I can at least practice some landings, or at least set my wheels up and make sure my wheels are right, because my wheels are normally set up for grass, the landing gear. So I go to an asphalt surface to make sure I got the wheels further aft now, grease in, and try to get so this locks in without bouncing,
Right.
And the speed is a variance you have to deal with. Even if you have your landing gear right, if you're coming in too hot or too slow, you got to practice that timing. And it makes it difficult competing on asphalt when I can practice on grass.
There's a reason they give you 40 points for that maneuver too.
Yeah.
So it's worth it if you do it right.
I got to tell you something else about takeoffs and landings. Not so much the technique, but a few years ago, I started flying tricycle landing gear airplanes again, off and on, and I never had so many 40s at a nationals on my scorecard as I did with those tricycle landing gear airplanes. I had 40s on takeoffs, and I had 39s and 40s on landings almost every time.
That's a big deal right there.
It is, and you don't break props.
True.
On the nose wheel, the gear's aft CG, so when quickest it touches, it wants to take the angle attack away from you, which makes it want to stick. And if you hit tail low main gear first on a tail dragger, any descending action at all gives you angle attack, and boom, you're flying, dude.
Yeah, they work good. But like anything else, you got to set them up properly. You can't have it really sitting nose down on the ground, because when you try to lever it off, it'll jump off.
It'll
so
jump.
It's dead level, So it's not a cure all, but there are some advantages to tricycle landing gear.
I agree.
Stunt is hard.
Yeah, it's hard. Don Cranfield stunt's easy. It's only up, down, or neutral. How hard can it be?
Yeah. Left left and right and up and down. But we talked about earlier in the program that it's really not just left and right and up and down. It's very subtly, like we just talked about, in and out too. But it's all of this, you know, it's all in concert, and you have to know what you want and when you want it, and that takes some time.
Yeah. Oh man.
The first word is precision. The first word's precision.
Right. Precision aerobatics. That's right.
That's the first word.
You know, you're talking about Don. The last time I saw him, my question to him was, "Oh, and so when's the last time you flew it? If it's so easy, why don't I ever see you fly it anymore?" You know, he didn't quite. Oops, he didn't know what to say to that.
Yeah, I miss Don a lot.
You're not the only one, buddy. I used to give him a hard time at every opportunity, but the fun thing about it was he'd hand it right back to you.
Oh, yeah. How many? Don was probably a 23 national champion at combat. I don't know, many national championships at combat.
Who's this?
Don Cranfield.
Oh, Don Cranfield, yeah.
Yeah.
Great guy.
Yep.
Good flyer.
We miss him still a lot.
Yeah.
I have some comments in the chat box from Terry Forbes, I guess regarding the lines again. He says, this is frequently used to cheat in IGFA fishing tournaments. The clear polyurethane tightens the inner structure. And he goes on to say, my choice for line is also electrical. Less chance of electrical lightning static issues. And then he goes, Charles, I just sent you a text with photo. Yeah, let me see here. Let me check my phone here. Looks like Jonathan Carradas is making his way in here.
Good.
That's good. Let's see here. Sent me a text. Let me see here.
Guys, these guys all think that you gotta, if you're not using steel lines, you can fly around telephone poles and all that stuff. And one of the things that they showed us when I was in training to be a lineman, they took a piece of kite string, laid it over a line, and it was feeding down to a full-size road lamp, light bulb, you know, one of the great big things. And then the other wire came off of that and went to ground. The kite string lit the light.
Wow.
Don't believe that these lines, because they're not steel, won't get you shocked. They will.
Mm-hmm.
Great.
You'll light your butt up like you ain't never seen and wonder what the heck's happening.
A lot of people died flying kites.
Wow. Amazing. Okay, I'm trying to download this picture here. Let me see if I can get this picture to come up here.
A lot of them are politicians, Bob.
What's that?
No, we wish, but it didn't work.
What's the weather like up your end of town, you guys? Pretty warm?
It's 100 in Tulsa. 99
Wow.
today in Tulsa.
Man.
Hey. The full dollar, eh? Wow.
It's hot.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
We went out and
Cold
flew.
out.
I think Sunday after church, we went and flew for a couple hours. I flew Big Blue again. It was 96. And 20% nitro on that road jet was talking. I said, holy crap, this thing's flying pretty good. I may have to take it to Nats and just get 13 appearance points and fly it again just because I can. I got
There you go.
fly it some more, make a decision.
We're getting up to 8 or 9,000 foot density altitude here in Colorado now.
That's really good. Get you some 40% nitro. Holy mackerel. We flew at Albuquerque one year. It was 8,600.
Yeah.
And I put 30% all synthetic in Big Blue. And I put nose weight on it. And they were saying, what are you putting nose weight on it for? I said, man, I need some more flat for lift. Opened my handle up and I whooped them all. Made them like it. You're going to ruin your engine, that 30% nitro. I said, I know a guy. I'll get me another one if I do.
Very good.
Hey.
I'm trying to get this.
Yeah, you can always get another one on Monday.
Yeah. When it's 8,690 degrees at density altitude, you ain't going to overpressure that engine. Just there's not enough air getting to it to begin with.
Yeah. It'd hardly be enough air to lift the wings, would it?
No, it wasn't much. That's why I put nose weight on it, so I could get more flap, more elevator, get a little more lift. Bob, Hunt.
Well,
if you're flying electrics and it's a 8,600 density altitude, will you increase the prop speed a couple hundred, 3 maybe, or do you know?
sure. I mean, and when it's cool in the morning, you got to decrease it. You have one setting
Yeah.
for the morning, you got one setting for the same setting for the evening, and you got
Yeah.
another setting for the middle of the day. The prop doesn't know what's spinning it.
That's exactly right.
The motors don't actually in warmer weather. The batteries actually put out a little more power.
Yes.
Not that it's really noticeable.
Well, I know.
What I'm doing to make that thing you were talking about is I'm actually moving the slider down a little bit to decrease the amount of elevator versus flap, and then
Yes.
in order to get the turn back, to get the even though I have less elevator movement, you still are only going to get so much in anyway. But it's not how much you get; it's how fast it gets in.
How fast you get it. That's right.
How fast you get it. So you can open the handle, which I have up to 6 inches now. Robbie's flying at 7 inches. He's got his handle open like it's like a broomstick, and you
Wow.
can move the slider down a little bit, and you can still get all the elevator that's usable in, but you get a little more flap for damping and bottoming and locking and all that stuff.
That's right. That's exactly right. And the
And
hotter
have
it
your
gets, the
cake and
more
eat it
that you
too,
need.
and have something for dessert, and have something sweet when you get home.
That's right. I like all that. Have spaghetti for supper even.
Well, Bob, on that note, have you got to the point where you've gone more than 1-to-1 flap to elevator, or do you think that's still a wall?
No. But I'm back closer to 1-to-1 instead of having a lot more elevator flap like we have been doing over recent years. What we were doing, I explained it last time. So I'll go over it just briefly this time. Years ago, we had Dennis. You remember how good of corners we had back in the 70s? I mean, everybody had really good corners, as good as they have today or better, and we didn't know why. And the reason was that we had those Vico horns, which were really short and they had fast control systems. It had a lot of throw and it got in very, very fast. And in order to stabilize it after the corner, we just put a little more nose weight in, just like Joe was saying, and we had our cake and was eating it too. But then when I went into that sabbatical through the 80s, I flew RC pattern. When I came back, I didn't think about it. I just bought the horns that were available. And they were Tom Morris's horns. They were like 1.25 inches or 1.5 inches high. And that was a very slow system. So even though you could move the elevator a lot, it didn't get there very quickly. So in order to get the airplanes to turn quicker, we were moving the ballast point aft. And when you do that, you start to see the deficiency in the airplane in trim, because nose weight hides a lot of ills in trimming. It's like the rock on the string principle. As soon as you move that balance point aft, your airplane's more sensitive to trim, and it's a little harder to get what you're looking for. So by speeding up the control systems or opening the handle, we're getting back to what we were doing back then. That's my take on it. It seems to be working really, really good for me.
Whoops.
And I can see a lot of people going, "What did he say?"
I'm sorry. I'm working on something else.
He's right. He's right, y'all. Open your handles up.
Yeah. David Fitzgerald convinced me of that. I lent him my Crossfire a couple of years ago out of Flushing Meadows. He came in and he called me up and said, "Can I borrow one of your airplanes?" I said, "Yeah, you can borrow the Crossfire." And he said, he got out to the field. And he said, "Can I open the handle?" I said, "Fly it like you stole it. It's yours." And he opened the handle. And I flew it that way, and he had a little nose weight, opened the handle, and man, did it fly better. And now it's flying even better when I move that slider down a little bit and even open the handle more. Now you have everything you're looking for. You get all the elevator in that you can use, and you get it in quick, but you have a little more flap movement to dampen everything and do better bottoms. And you can run a little bit of nose weight now for stability in the bottoms. And you kind of have it all. The only downside to that system we used to use is and I get away from this in a way that's fairly controversial. The only downside to it is that you get more stick pressure in wind. You build up more stick pressure when you have that nose weight in the airplane. I get around that by by sweeping the trailing edge forward. Swept forward trailing edge reduces the distance that the CP moves aft of the balance point when you deploy the flaps, and consequently, it doesn't load up as much.
That also gives you a longer tail moment, Bob.
It gives you effectively a longer tail moment, more tail volume coefficient, and the airplane has more power in the elevator.
That's correct. I agree.
But it comes at the price of a little bit more critical trimming.
In the wind, you getting for me, I can move the lead outs further than I normally do. You got the wind blowing the airplane away from you anyhow.
Right.
And you can move the lead outs forward and get some of that turn and lighten the handle a little bit back on
Absolutely.
a straight wing airplane.
Absolutely.
Also.
I found too that I'm moving the lead outs further forward now than I've ever had them before. I have the front lead out right on the ballast point, and that's on the twin. And the reason is I can get away with that is I can run the inboard motor faster than the outboard motor.
Yeah,
so
I get you.
Airplane out there, and if you should see how clean the lines are. At the top of the hourglass, it's always that click, click. You put it on the line. It's the simplest airplane I've ever had to do that. The top of the hourglass and hit the lines right where I want them. So moving the lead outs forward is great if you can get away with it.
The turn quality is better if you got line tension and overheads in the triangle. Right here in the triangle, it'll be light if you get too far forward too.
That's where the twin comes in though with that extra kick out on the inboard motor.
I think that's a brilliant idea.
Yeah, it's working pretty good.
Very nice. Hey, Terry Forbes, I can't get the picture to share it. I can see it on my phone, but I can't share it, unfortunately. But maybe next time I'll be able to show it. But so thank you for
Hold your phone up to this camera.
Oh, yeah, I guess I could do that. That's always. So this is the plane that Terry Forbes flies 100 feet lines with. Let me see here. Make myself big. So.
Well, look at that.
Is that too close? You guys see it?
No.
Yeah, that's slick.
It's a combat wing, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's a Voodoo. I think it's a Voodoo. He flies this on 100-foot lines.
Wow.
Yeah. He has a blast doing that too.
I bet you his lead outs are back a little bit though.
You can guarantee you.
Yeah.
The lines will be back behind the tail. Right.
Hey, Jonathan Carradas, how you doing? Thanks for coming in.
Yeah, not too bad. Weather's crap down here at the moment, terrible. And but I came in the other day a bit late. I'd been down watching the combat down the line, and that was fun the other day. Bit of a cool day, but it was good fun. Yeah, and no, I haven't done much flying. No, well, I've done none really for quite a while now. But I'll get the right day. I'll get all the ponies lined up at some stage and have a crack.
How's your hurricane?
Sorry?
How was your hurricane?
Oh, well, at a standstill, just sitting in the hangar at the moment, waiting for a last test run of the engine, and putting the tank in. Oh, that's what I was going to ask you guys. When you guys make a tank, what sort of solder do you use? Do you use 50-50 or 60-40 or what?
I think mine's 60-40.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about the other guys? What do you guys use?
I use a battery.
I have to go check.
All right, thanks, man.
I'll have to check. Hang on. I'll see what I use.
Yeah, the solder I'm using is from my dad, so it's really old, so it's got to be 60-40.
Here's the stuff, John.
Where are you at, Mark? Here we go. All right, there you are. You gonna share?
Yeah, hang on.
All right.
I think I am.
Was the 60% tin quite hard to melt
There
and
you
get
go.
together. So I guess it's stronger.
6337.
Okay.
This is what
and is that 60% tin? Can't see. I haven't read it yet. Anyway, it's 60-40, is it? That's what you use?
6337.
37% lead and 63% something else.
Can you see it? Can you read that? Here's the 63 up here. This is 37.
Oh, I see.
PB's lead, so.
But this is, Eric Roll said this is what he uses, and so this is what I got. This alpha, this is the exact part number. And it works really well for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right, I got to go chase some. Go get some more tomorrow.
I guess you can look at the replay if you can't write it down fast enough.
Yeah, no, I'll be right now. No, I just wondered, like, I've used 50-50 in the past successfully, but
There's my tank.
That's what he used.
sorry, I missed that. It didn't come over. What was that?
That's what Bob Hunt uses.
Yeah, and to assemble that tank, I use a CA or Type Bond.
It's a 5-cell tank.
Yeah.
I see.
A 5-cell. Oh
It's
my
a tank
God.
that holds.
That'll be one in every
It
crowd,
never
right?
leaks. It never leaks electrons.
Well, we don't know if it leaks electrons or not, but we've never seen any.
When they do it, smoke, y'all. I got that figured out too. When they leak it,
smoke, the
smoke.
magic's gone. It's
That's
done.
right.
And when they
You see,
crash, they burn. Sometimes, don't they?
I've seen them smoke.
In 2006 in Spain, I was the first guy ever to fly an electric airplane at a World Championships.
Wow.
And I had the Genesis converted over to electric, very early, very Stone Age electric system. So I got out there and I was the first guy up. And Billy, of course, was there. And it was right after a thunderstorm. And I pulled up into the wing over, and of course, the static electricity, I got zapped.
Oh,
really
no.
bad. And I bailed out of the wing over. And of course, you're in Europe and you're trying to convey what's happening. So I went, electricity, electricity. And Billy calls out, he says, yeah, Bob, we know it's electric. Now just fly the pattern. I went, shock, shock. Oh, okay. They gave me another flight.
Oh, cool.
Has everybody here been shocked a good time or two?
Oh boy.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Not
son.
for a very
mine,
long
yeah.
time.
The
I
best,
have-
the best one was Paul in '92 at the National. Oh, excuse me, '93 at Lawrenceville. He was doing a dance in the center of the circle, and you see the blue going between his knuckles. I mean, he was just he
Wow.
really got zapped.
How awful. Ugh.
Man, kick your tennis shoes off quick.
Okay.
Fly barefooted. It'll help out.
I've been fortunate. I never been zapped. Very
Boy, I
fortunate.
have. In the Midwest, if you're gonna fly, you're gonna get zapped every now and then.
Yeah.
It gets your attention.
Wrap copper wire around your handle and put it out to the
Yeah.
line.
Drag a chain with you. Grab yourself out.
I'll tell you something interesting here. You know, I like to fly on solids, right? I've flown on solids most of my career. And one of the downsides to solids is what, Joe? They get dirty, right?
They stick them. Yeah, they get
stick,
dirty.
The
and
reason they
stick.
stick is you have a big Van de Graaff generator out there going around in a circle, creates static, and and if there's any castor oil in the air, it just comes right to the lines, right? So my father, you know, being automation engineer and everything, he said, why is this stuff coming and getting on your lines? I have to clean them thoroughly every flight. So he said, wait a minute, let's put copper wire, let's put a plug, put a harness down your legs onto a copper pad on your foot and fly a flight. and we came down the lines. We did 3 outside. The lines pulled apart. I landed. I wiped them out. They were absolutely clean.
That's right. You were getting rid of the static.
I was grounding the lines.
Wow.
That's how come gas trucks drag around chains at airports.
But I looked so funny with the, everybody's making fun of it.
But it worked, didn't it?
It worked.
Dang right.
What you got there, Lynn? Hang on. Let me get Lynn.
Yeah, the solder I'm using, when we went to Toledo last year, I was almost out of solder. I had almost none left. And Pat McKenzie, one of our combat guys, him and his brother were with us when we went to Toledo. And we just somehow got talking about this. And we stopped at I guess it was a Harbor Freight or something like that. And he said, hey, if you're soldering tanks and stuff, this is the stuff to get. He says, I've always used this. And what it is it's an electrical solder. It says ideal for electrical repair. It's leaded solder, 63% tin, 37% lead.
All right.
For precise metal fusing.
Yeah,
that's the same as Mark had.
Yeah.
That's the same as Mark had.
Yeah, it's absolutely wonderful. I mean, this stuff.
Rosin core too.
Yeah, it's low heat and exactly. And it works amazing. It's just so nice to work with. Best I've ever used.
Melts quite easily.
Oh yeah, just beautiful. Like it's
well.
low heat and it's easy to work with and it doesn't make a big mess. Some of the stuff I got down in the basement that I've screwed around with, just a disaster. All it is now is for wrapping. It's just for wrapping landing gears or something to add ballast. I don't want to try soldering with it anymore.
I got a serious question for you, Len.
Yep.
Have you gotten your uniform yet?
Nothing. Not yet. I don't know what we're doing. I don't know
You're
what
gonna
the
fly
guys
naked?
are doing.
Oh.
No, he's
I
not.
sure hope. No, I'm not.
Well, he just said, ask about his uniform. He said nothing.
Nothing
All right.
yet. I didn't say nothing. I said nothing
Oh.
yet.
That won't get you any points.
No,
All you
didn't get me any
need is a
points at
maple. All you need is a maple leaf stuck in the
From
right
what,
place.
from what I'm gathering, we're getting a polo shirt or something. I don't know. Ask me. I don't run that department.
Wow.
You
I'm
just
sure
be the
there's someone in Mac will take care of you.
Sure.
Maybe
Sure
not.
they
huh?
will. Oh my God. Hopefully our team manager is going to get all this stuff together, John McFadden.
I
We'll
was
see what
in
happens.
charge of getting uniforms a couple of times for our team. And,
Okay.
back in those days, I was like the good humor man. Everything was white, and I got all white uniforms.
Right.
Werwin just yelled at me. He said, you can't keep this clean,
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, white coats and white pants and white shoes and oh my God, white airplanes.
We'll see what happens. I don't know. I haven't heard anything except that we're supposed to get like polo shirts or something. So I don't know.
Once you have
I'll
some
be
fun
asking
on a team, you
questions
get
in the
all the
next
clothes.
couple of
It
weeks.
used to be you get a bunch of clothes.
Yeah, there's none of that, I don't think. I think we're going to be lucky if we get a shirt the way it's looking.
Wow. It's all changed.
Yeah, it's all changed. I'll be excited and be happy to be there anyway.
Well, welcome to the club.
That's right.
Welcome to the club.
Really looking forward to this. I'm just excited.
Yeah.
The walk-in's pretty cool, and you'll enjoy that part too.
Yeah, you betcha.
Look how
And the
excited
guys were
Gary
all
is.
complaining of, and you know what? They were all complaining about carrying the flag. I'll carry the flag. Give it to me.
Dang right.
Mine, the flag.
Just look
for
how
my
excited
country.
Gary is about all this.
Yeah.
Right. I don't mind carrying the flag. I'll be the first guy in line.
Yeah.
He's just resting your eyes, right, Gary?
Yeah, listen. Yes.
He's listening. He's resting his
Right.
eyes.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Very good. Very good.
There we go. Speaking of very good, I think we had a very good show tonight, and
I do too.
Great show.
so much guys for coming in. I'm telling you, if it was up to me having to entertain everybody, it would be a flop. So thank you so much for coming. Really appreciate it. And with that being said, I wish everybody between now and the time we come back, fair winds and tight lines. See ya.